Okay, so welcome to the Winners Win podcast. This is yet another episode. We're back like we never left. My name is Ted Koka, and I have a very interesting guest today. Esterhuizen is from Bezt Forex. And for a long time, I've been wanting to talk about the rules of foreign exchange as well as Forex in Africa and in South Africa and how that ecosystem works. And to have that conversation with me is Peter. Peter, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Tilly. Appreciate the time. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You're a Pretoria guy.
Yeah.
You don't enjoy the commute much. How was it today?
No, today was chaos. I sat like 40 minutes in traffic, so it was a bit chaos. Just in the last 6K. So
Yeah. What's the typical week like for you in your world?
For me, it's we mainly sales for Forex, so we need to get new clients. So a typical week will start with planning, and we will get our new client list or possible leads where we can assist the guys, and then we'll start to mainly cold call and then do a little bit of social media posting, LinkedIn, all those kind of things. And then, we'll contact the guys and also service our current client base, making sure that their bookings is right because we understand their business. We know when to book and we inform them regularly on where the rates are and stuff like that.
What is let's start at the beginning. Like, what is your business? What is Bezt Forex?
Bezt Forex is an international banking intermediary company. So we've got a banking partner, which is one of the big banks, and we move money around the world. So we move money cross borders. So it's rands to dollars, pounds, euros, doesn't matter which one. So that's what we basically do, the long and the short, smoothing of money.
Are you the back end system for a banking platform?
Yes. So we operate as a banking branch, and then from there we make sure that the clients can load their deals and move that money whenever they need to move, make sure that there's enough funds in their accounts and that the deals are booked at plausible rates and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah. And so practically, for instance, you mentioned that one of the big banks is your partner or you're an extension of them.
Yes.
If someone's transacting on their platform, practically what does that value chain look like between the bank and yourselves?
So we actually working on the bank's platform.
Okay.
So there's two parts to it. So we sign up new clients. That's our main business. Okay. And then also if there's a current client that wants to come over to us from the current banking system, the banking sphere, because they like what we do, we just discuss that with the bank, and the bank is more than willing to put them over to us so that we manage that client.
Okay.
Yeah. So that we can actually start to help them with their risk.
Tell me about this. You and I spoke about it a little bit earlier. This perception or branding problem that you have. Because if I say Forex, everybody knows sort of what I'm referring to. If I say foreign exchange, it feels different, right?
Yes.
How have you felt that impact, one, in the industry, and how are you guys navigating?
For us, Forex is perceived as Forex trading. So we actually trade the different currencies against each other. So buying low, selling high. It's an arbitrage business.
Right.
So it's more a day-to-day on the every now and again that you trade your Forex, but we don't do that at all. There's a total different side to Forex, and we do, let's call it business Forex.
Okay.
So we make sure that all the guys that import, export, and do investments, and it needs to be done in a different currency. It doesn't matter where it is.
Right.
Europe, the Americas, Asia. We make sure that those deals can be done. So we sell rands and buy dollars, euros, pounds, whatever currency you need, or we receive those foreign currency and then we convert it to rands.
Got you. And you're buying this from the open market, or the bank is supplying?
Yeah. So the whole country, all the foreign currency is managed by the Reserve Bank.
Yes.
So you will hear they talk about deficits and those kind of things within the Reserve Bank.
Yeah.
And we basically all the banks have a agreement with the Reserve Bank where they can deal with certain amount of currency. So they've got importers, exporters. So if you've got importers, you've got Forex, and then they need to buy goods, whatever, in that Forex. So then they sell that Forex and buy it then from the goods from the other country. Yeah. So that ecosystem in there, it's mainly done on the SWIFT system as well, where all the banks trade. And that's where they can actually see what's up on positions and stuff like that within the Forex market.
Okay. Talk to us about this SWIFT ecosystem. What does it do for the world? It feels like a utility that only a specific group of people know exists. If you're explaining it in very simple language, what does it do?
Okay, so the SWIFT system was developed in Belgium, I think around about the 1970s. Okay. And that's when your global trade started to become a thing in the world.
Gotcha.
So that's a system that banks use to communicate to each other. So it's physically a system. So if you go on to your online banking at, let's call it FNB, Capitec, Standard Bank, it's a similar system, which is called SWIFT.
Okay.
And there they report on different things. What was the funds transferred today for? Was it for merchanting trade? Was it for imports? Was it for export? Was it for investments? And there they can actually manage the positions and make sure that there's no open positions where somebody is in a loss of currency or they overextended themselves or whatever the case may be.
Okay. Those BOP codes that you find in that, they always feel like a trap. It's almost like someone's asking you, specify BOP code, and there's so many of them. Many of them are similar, etc. What's the thinking behind BOP codes? What's the design and what's the implication?
Yeah, so you've got a BOP code, we call it BOP code. So the BOP codes, you've got your import codes and you've got your export codes. Okay. So certain codes are specifically for imports and certain codes are specifically for exports. And then there's other things like FDIs, foreign direct investment, there's codes for that. So it's broken down more or less in industry and what it's for there. Okay, so it's a fairly simple thing. And if you've got a very good bank, they will be able to guide you exactly to which BOP code you need.
Gotcha.
But in the market with importers, exporters, there's specific codes you use for imports. There's specific codes you use for exports. And the easy way to find these BOP codes is go to the Reserve Bank website. Just go and download it there. They call it the Authorized Dealers Manual. Which the banks use. So all the banks are authorized dealer, and then you go through that list and they will be able to pick up easily what code you can get.
Okay.
So, and if you don't know, you can go call a guy like us and we can assist you easily with that.
Got you. It's so strange when you say if you've got a good bank, most banks just leave you to your own devices like, hey, pick a code and, we'll come back and interrogate you about it. It's not such a guided process.
No, the problem with that is the banks do that, but you will hear in the news, okay, this bank was issued with a fine of 50 million rand or whatever. And it's because of that. They reported incorrectly. So then, your Reserve Bank and the Department of Finance and all those guys look at these things to determine where they need to focus their funds on. Will they have a deficit, whatever the case may be. So these guys will get fines for that. So it's better to make sure you get the right code. And the thing is as well, for certain codes, there's Reserve Bank approval required. Okay. So if you don't have that requirement, it's all about compliance. You need to make sure that the compliance around it is right, because otherwise people can move money without anybody looking at it. It's money laundering and all those kind of things that.
Got you. Back to SWIFT, and I think a few weeks ago there was an article about South Africa possibly getting removed from the SWIFT system. You said it's Belgian. I was under the impression it's American. Is it not?
No.
Okay.
So South Africa, to remove a country from SWIFT, it's difficult. Yeah. It will be detrimental to South Africa if we remove it. If we look at South Africans' GDP, 60% of the GDP is foreign inflows and outflows. If you put your SDAs and FDIs and those kind of investments with that, it's 80% of our flow. So if the world switches off the SWIFT system, you can just imagine what happens.
Sure.
You will have riots in the streets in a week. So I think, yes, there is a risk, and it's good that they raised the risk and told us what to do. But I don't foresee, and that's our opinion with Bezt Forex as well, is we don't foresee that they will just switch it off overnight.
For sure.
I think it will be more based on a personal level, the guys that was identified that they want to put sanctions on. But to switch that system off is, I doubt whether they will just do it overnight.
For sure. But I'm also sure there are what we call second order effects, right? So the first is South Africa being affected, but we have trade partners, the rest of the world. Yeah. They also get affected by.
Yeah, they were also affected. I mean, if you just look at this citrus market, a lot of our citrus is going to Asia and Europe. So that market will definitely be affected.
Okay.
Our cars market, I mean, with all these things happening now with the exporting, of course, to the US, so that market. So there's a lot of effects on our market. But I think South Africa will be punished the most rather than the world.
And if I keep walking through that rabbit hole, what actually happens to value if it's turned off? So let me give you a basic example. I have 20 million in my bank account, and suddenly, and I'm an importer and exporter. Suddenly we are no longer on the SWIFT network. What does that mean for? So
you will see your currencies deteriorate. So rand dollar, let's just an example. I'm not an economist, but the rand dollar is trading currently at 17.50.
Okay.
You will see a drop dramatically if that happens. So
Got you.
18, 19, 20, 25, whatever the case may be. So your 20 million rand let's just make the calculations easy, would have bought R1 million worth of FX.
Yes.
Now you can only buy 500,000 rands worth of FX. So the amount you can import, and that's besides all the issues to get your supplier paid on the other side. So how are you going to pay now? I mean, if you off SWIFT, I mean, how are you going
It's like having a train off the tracks. Understood. And then what is I've often heard that the Reserve Bank really runs a tight ship in terms of exchange controls in South Africa. What is the, what's the view on that? It seems like they really keep a tight.
Yeah, no, they keep it very tight. So there's two departments that I believe in South Africa that works, the SARS and the Reserve Bank.
And the Reserve Bank.
With the Reserve Bank, they very well regulated. I mean, the policies and the way they manage policies and stuff is very well done. Especially on our side as well. I mean, with the foreign exchange market, you want all your transactions to be above board and stuff. And if you're on that level, the Reserve Bank, for certain things, needs to give you approval. So if they don't give you the go-ahead, you won't be able to do it. So I think at this stage, the way they govern the banks and then the banks govern us is very well done. So how it works actually is, so the Reserve Bank will have policy, and that policy then I earlier said about the authorized dealers manual. So they will give a mandate to the banks where they can approve certain things. And anything out of that mandate, the Reserve Bank will approve themselves. To give you an example, so for instance, you import stuff from country A, but it's coming from country B.
Right.
And it needs to come into South Africa. I'll need to go and get a Reserve Bank approval because the country I'm buying from is not the same country where the goods are coming from. So they call it a third-party transaction.
Okay.
So there's a third party to it. So for that, you need to get special dispensation from the Reserve Bank.
Okay.
And that's quite a process. And that's also stuff that your bank will assist you with. So in our case, we actually write up these letters to the bank, and we've got a whole Excon department that looks at those kind of things to make sure that we get the correct approval from the Reserve Bank.
So that's sort of facilitating trade and you're then focused on much bigger players as opposed to a smaller SMMEs
I think within our business, there's certain people looking at certain things. So there's the guys looking specifically at immigration, guys looking at small business. And we look at, in our branch, more at a a medium to a larger business, merely just because that's the industry where I'm coming from and that's where I feel most comfortable. But if the other guys come on, we don't care to take anybody on because we've got the expertise.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, and that's what's nice about having a team of guys with over, I think we've got 300 years of experience for a business that's now, 13 years old.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
And all of you sort of come from what? From banking?
A lot of the guys come from banking. Then you've got the guys, as I said earlier, doing arbitrage. I'm coming from a business background. So there's so many different levels. We've got guys, they call it ex-con guys. So they look at exchange control. So where they will communicate with the Reserve Bank, we've got a team like that as well. So there's different backgrounds to our business, and that gives you a little bit of an edge on the market.
Yeah, let me pocket watch a little bit. Is it a profitable business?
Yes, it is. What's nice about a business is, I mean, it's not capital heavy. So I physically have my office in a laptop bag. So that's my office. So it's merely a laptop, and because we get clients and we manage them remotely, all digital. You don't need big capital outlays. I mean, there's no physical office. There's one physical office, but we all work remotely in a remote setting.
Is there no sort of, I would have imagined that you have high capex if you're buying and selling sort of Forex or foreign exchange, but you're not doing that. You're simply facilitating the transactions.
So I think that's where the confusion comes in sometimes.
Okay.
So as a TOC or a third-party outsourcer for the bank, we physically actually open an account with our banking partner for our client.
Okay.
So we never touch that transaction.
The float.
We basically is in the background. We facilitate it.
Gotcha.
So it's their funds going into their trading account, and from there going out to their foreign supplier. So it's never our background. So it's them and the bank.
Okay.
But we facilitate, we give advice, we make sure that those transactions run smoothly and there's no issues.
Okay. Is it a blue ocean sort of space, or is it a red ocean? What I mean, just are there many competitors in your space, or you're just sort of one of the few who've carved out?
Yeah, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in South Africa with our partner bank, there's around about 160 players, of which we are the biggest corporate client base supplier. So a lot of the guys focus on immigration, on SDAs. We focus on corporate. I think there's a few small ones, but there's also TOCs with the other banks. Yeah. But we use a few specific banks because it works into our model.
Gotcha.
Because we don't charge fees for specific transactions or a monthly fee and stuff like that. Yep. So this fits into our model. But in our space, we are the biggest TOC within our business.
Within your space.
Yeah.
How easy is it to start a business like Bezt Forex?
I think it's specifically in our business, it's very difficult. For the sense, it's a very niche market and you need to have some skill.
What's the barrier to entry? Is it expertise or?
Expertise and compliance. Okay. Because you need to be registered with the FSCA, you need to be registered with the Reserve Bank, and they need to approve you. So there's
what category of license would that be?
Can't remember if it's Cat 1 or Cat 2, but yeah, it's. I think it's a Cat 1 if I'm not mistaken. Can't remember. Sure. But anyway, but you need to get that licensing. Okay. You need to do your annual RMCPs. You need to be a KI or have a KI. You need to all the guys working for you need to do their RF5s and need to be registered.
KI and RF5s. What are those?
So you've got agents and then you've got a key individual.
Okay.
So the key individual is the person that takes responsibility. Okay. So on that person, you'll have additional insurance and stuff like that if something goes wrong. So you made a wrong decision, gave the wrong advice. Now the client is suing you. So there will be insurance for that. But he's the guy that's taking the fall. So if something is done wrong, he will go to jail, basically. Okay. And then all the agents or the that's working underneath him, which I'm one of them, is they need to do the RE5, which is a compliance thing where we need to do annual CPD points, your professional development tests and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So there's a lot of regulatory stuff around that. There's a certain way you need to keep your records and stuff like that as well, because the FSCA can come anytime to your office and audit you. And they've done it recently with a lot of guys in the market. So you need to be aware of that. So the compliance behind it is quite...
It's quite heavy, stringent.
So that, in that sense, that's quite cash flow intensive because you need to comply all the time. But from my side as a partner with them, it's not that capital intensive.
Give me, when you said if something goes wrong, then the KI is held responsible. Is there a public example of a business like yours where something has gone horribly wrong, even if it's not public? Just what does that look like?
I think not in my specific industry.
Okay,
but because we see it as a soft risk, because there's not really a big risk with what we do. But I'll explain that a little bit later. But more on your other financial providers.
Okay.
You'll hear that there's guys that's been fined for something. So whereas your banks as well, that's a example where they will be responsible for that. So,
okay. And when you say fined for something, is it misleading a client, misquoting, overquoting? What do those sort of offenses look like?
I think that would be mainly where they actually didn't do what they had to do, giving correct advice.
Okay.
Because there's a whole process where the guys can go to the ombudsman and all those kind of things. So if that comes back, that can lead into a fine. And some of those fines is either jail time or fines up to 10 million rand for the individual. So it can be quite hectic. But
so it's considered a commercial crime?
Yeah.
If you're going to jail?
Yeah, basically. So that's why there's certain levels. So first of all, if there's any issues, you will try to resolve it with us, which would be your TOC.
Right.
So it will be resolved. If that doesn't happen, the guys can go to the ombudsman. And then from there, it will filter back and then they will make a decision.
Yeah. For someone who's never been exposed to this space, what is the purpose of exchange controls? Why does the Reserve Bank not just allow money to flow in and out, number one? And then why is there a limit on individuals set for R1 million?
Okay, so the money flow to answer your first question, the money flow is mainly to avoid money laundering. So they need to regulate that. Right. So if you've got guys just moving money in and out, let's take drugs. So the guy physically sell drugs in South Africa. Now all of a sudden he cleans up that money either by buying a boat or buying a house and selling that house. And because he's now a foreign individual, he wants to move his funds out. Okay. So it's to avoid that. So they regulate that. Okay. That's why there's exchange control. Gotcha. So with exchange control, there's always where does the funds come from? You need to be able to prove it. For guys that import and export, they need to import license with SARS. So there's a lot of compliance behind that before you can move that funds out. Okay. But that's to avoid money laundering and making sure that funds flowing in and out of South Africa is legit and not illegal. Gotcha. Because we've got mines of diamonds and gold. So they can be illicit trade. If you take all the zamazamas that we have around Joburg. So if they take that funds out, they can clean it up. Where does that funds come from? Okay. So it's to regulate that. The second question is
nice answer.
With regulation on individuals.
Yes.
So same thing also, regulation on money laundering. Where does the funds come from? So in my experience, not each individual, or there's not many individuals that's got R1 million a year to move out. So it's regulate that. So the R1 million is there to make sure that you can travel abroad and stuff like that. So that's the first purpose.
Yes.
Anything above that, I would assume SARS would see that as mainly investment.
Yes.
Okay. So anything above that would be more or less investment. So there you need SARS approval. Okay. So, but it's an easy process. You go on e-filing and you get your approval, and then you will be able to transfer your funds to wherever. But they will also look where the funds are going to. And then the third thing, after your 11 million, you can get Reserve Bank approval, because that's seen as, as an individual to take out more than 11 rand annually, it's quite extensive. if you look at, how many people in South Africa earn that amount of money. So,
For sure.
So they will start to look at things. Why is this happening? Why would this person needs to do it? And if they're happy, they will give you the approval. It's no problem.
Okay. Let's talk about investments, because I know that's also something you have a strong knowledge of. When someone is within their 1 million discretionary allowance, what do you, and we have to be careful not to offer investment advice. So this is a conversation. Don't go and do what we're talking about here necessarily. What does investing look like for someone who wants to invest offshore, et cetera, et cetera?
We've got partners and had meetings with guys that's doing investment. So you normally go to a financial planner. They will give you the investment advice, what you're allowed to invest on the cross-border, whatever the case may be. And within that allowance, a lot of the guys can maybe take out the million. And we find it's normally older guys, 40 plus. It's my personal experience, which already worked a bit. So they've got $1 million, they want to invest it, either buy a property or they want to invest in a fund or something. I know there's products in Switzerland where guys can put their funds, or they want to buy a property because their kids are studying in the USA. They want to take it there. Alternatively, they want to buy a business in the USA. But for that is a specific scenario where you will need to get Reserve Bank approval as well. You can't just go and buy a business in another country. So that's the type of things people will invest to. But they will mainly use the financial planners, which will have portfolios. I know the big brands do have products where you can actually take money out.
Does one attract more scrutiny when you choose to go this Reserve Bank route, where one, you're beyond your discretionary allowance and you're now seeking further approval? Does that attract scrutiny on?
No, I won't say scrutiny, but I think they will just highlight it and say, okay, but if this happens on a regular basis, we need to look at it. Because if you look at a person, all of a sudden, every year they move out 30 million, where's this funds coming from? If you just take what happened in our recent past with the family that with this whole state thing where they captured the state and all those kind of things. So those individuals are now all of a sudden moving a lot of money, either through a personal name, or it's a cousin or a business partner or something that's moving those funds, because somebody is moving it. How do those funds go out?
Okay.
So that's why it will be highlighted to see, okay, if there's regular flows, 10, 20, 30, 40 million every year, why is it? Where does this person get this money?
Okay.
So
is it where does this person get this money because we're not seeing it locally, or you can see they're making it locally, but why are they extracting?
Yeah, why are they extracting? Because, I mean, obviously you want your money to be invested in your own country.
Yes.
But why is this extracted? And then they will go further and investigate. But why is this fund? So where is it coming from? Okay. So it's if, let's say, for instance, if this is a politically connected person.
Yes.
Okay. And with our recent history, where did this person get this funds from? So then they will investigate. And it's all just to avoid money laundering, to make sure there's less corruption,
For sure.
and stuff like that. So,
are we still grey listed? Is South Africa still grey listed?
Yes, we are, but I think we're on our way to be delisted. Or,
okay.
Yeah,
whitelisted.
Yeah. But with that as well, I mean, if you actually work with the banks, they're very good at their processes and stuff. So the grey listing, yes, there were some issues. I mean, you would have read in the news, some of the banks got fines. Some of the banks that was involved is actually closed down their business, the business side of the business. And so the grey listing is not just the banks. It's also all the institutions like a second-hand motor dealer or a accountant or the guy selling property. So it's not just banks. You only see the banks, but there's a lot of different aspects of your grey listing. And we all know sometimes how it goes at a second-hand dealer. They don't do all the verification and stuff. I mean, There's so many of them at some places. So it's all those different aspects of this. That
you have to say more on that. Okay, what do you mean by...
So they don't normally do a KYC process, or they don't do all the checks and balances for the person selling the car. So where did the person get the car? Where did
the person selling the car to the dealership.
Yeah, selling the car to the dealership. So they don't necessarily do all those checks and balances. Sorry. So where does it come from?
Okay.
So the due diligence on their side is not always good. I mean, if I take our side, the due diligence we need to do on an individual before we sign them on.
Yes.
Sorry. Is so much more than any of the other guys you do, because that's where your FICA process and all those things.
Yes.
Everything's been checked. We identify PEPs, which are politically
exposed persons.
People, yeah. So we go and check all those things, and we validate whether it's low risk or high risk and stuff like that.
What are the authorities looking for when they're asking you questions like, are you a politically exposed person? Are they trying to figure out if someone powerful in the country is trying to move funds, or you've received funds in an undue manner, etc.? What's the sort of, and where do people get tripped up from a KYC AML in that space?
How the process normally works is on our side is, so you will go and have a look, and our process go and scan the internet on a daily basis. So it will scan LinkedIn, Facebook, all of those things. It will scan a whole lot of other things as well. And then it will ask the person, what does this person do?
Okay.
And then it will actually highlight the person. So if this person is connected to a politician or is a politician, they will automatically highlight it as a high-risk person.
As a high-risk person.
Yeah. Sometimes it's valid or legit transactions, no problem, and it's within the thing, but it will be highlighted. So if, say, for instance, this person wants to use the SDA, or they've got a business and they want to import or export,
yes,
it will be highlighted with the bank, and they will take extra scrutiny on each transaction.
Okay. Does the bank have the authority to, if the Reserve Bank feels like this is an illicit foreign transaction or foreign exchange transaction, the bank can withhold funds until clarity for, like, say you get an inward payment that somehow doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
They can withhold that until you justify where it's come from. Yeah. And if you fail to justify where it comes from, what happens?
Then they will send the funds back.
Okay.
So I explained earlier a little bit. So all your foreign transactions is a two-legged transaction. So you've got your, let's say, for instance, you import stuff. So you'll have a supplier, let's call it in China.
Country, right.
And then you buy in US dollars because that's the most commonly traded currency.
Okay.
And then you've got a bank which is in the US. So they call that the corresponding bank. Why is the bank in the US? Because it's US currency that's traded.
Okay.
So there's a 3-tier or 2 legs and 3 different institutions that's involved.
Okay.
And then also the South African bank. So if you pay for purchases in China, the funds will go to the corresponding bank in the US, and from there it will go to China.
Okay.
So if the corresponding bank sees there's an issue, they might send it back, or they will request additional information. Okay. So then that funds will either be sent back, or it will be questioned, or it will be highlighted. I had an instance where it was highlighted for exports we did. So the guys that purchased the goods from South Africa had to pay from Nigeria, an African country. That was highlighted at the corresponding bank, and the funds were sent back.
I see.
So the funds never came to South Africa. So there's not just one party. So for any illicit thing or anything that happens, first of all, the first point of call would be your authorized dealer. Okay. So if they see something's wrong, because their license is on the line, so they won't put anything through they're not comfortable with. Alternatively, if they're not 100% sure, they will actually ask the Reserve Bank, and if the Reserve Bank clears it, it's fine. Otherwise, it won't go through.
Got you. Can you expose us to some of the challenges you see in foreign exchange on the rest of the continent? And why is it so hard for us to do sort of inter-Africa trading?
I think in the Africa continent, the biggest problem is liquidity. So a lot of the countries import more than what they export. So they don't have a lot of FX. So they need to wait until they have FX to pay stuff out. To use an example, in Mozambique, where I assisted a client, is they had funds in Mozambique. It was US dollar funds, and they couldn't get their funds out. They were banking at 4 different banks. And whichever had FX, they actually paid the FX out.
Okay.
And a lot of the systems are still manual. I think in a lot of ways, Africa is well ahead of the other countries because we need to make ways to get stuff done.
Yeah.
But banking systems, I think, is still a bit behind. And it's big ships you need to change. So once that happens, it will be much easier. I think that's where we actually are spoiled in South Africa with the banking system we've got. Mm-hmm. But the problem with Africa is they're not there yet. They're well on their way, but they're not there yet. And I think that's the problem. And some of the countries, there's so many war-torn countries and countries with bad reputations, even though the guys are brilliant with business and actually trying to get there, they still have this perception in the West that, or in the rest of the world, that it's a problematic.
Right. How much has crypto sort of disrupted this for banking?
I think in my view, there's a risk with crypto in this sense for the compliance. Okay. Even though crypto is, with blockchain, all those things, you can trace everything. But I don't think the world or the governing bodies or the reserve banks of the world know how to
understand
and regulate it. Okay. Because the problem with that is you can actually sell illicit diamonds, let's say, from one of the war-torn countries in Africa, buy crypto with it, come to South Africa, put it in exchange, and then it's converted to rands. Yeah. Where's the regulation? So I think, I think the regulation...
The people want speed, Peter.
I know. It's my biggest frustration. I come from a business background.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, yes, I understand the frustration. But if you want to trade above board, you go through the proper systems.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's the way to go. And we all love the token-based stuff, and it's great. I also like if you can just press a button and your foreign currency appears on that side, it would be brilliant. But the banking systems are not there yet. Remember I said SWIFT was created back in the 70s.
Yes.
So that's the problem. And you need to regulate it because, can you imagine the mafia, or just for lack of a better example, get hold of crypto and start to move funds around in the world?
Yeah.
Because in South Africa, crypto is seen as an asset. It's not foreign currency. There was an article the other day about it. So how do you regulate that? And yes, there is ways you can do it, but it's not, I can't give you advice on it because I'm not allowed to.
Yeah.
And it's not regulated. That's the biggest issue.
Okay. But if we had a fictional conversation, you and I, this is not practical, it's fictional. You can do it through stable coins. So stable coins like USDT have already started to fill that space where legacy systems are failing and where banks are not investing in the infrastructure. The fintechs and all these other platforms are already starting to take over those gaps.
I think there's a big space for that. And I think that's where we are going.
Yeah.
But not yet.
Okay. Why is there, I want to call it resistance from?
I don't think it's resistance.
Okay.
I sometimes get the feeling that things are put in place to test it. Okay. And then all of a sudden everybody's ready to take over the world of that. So I think it's merely just seeing how it's doing and how it's working. If you just look at your Bitcoin.
Yes.
With the machines, I think it was in Cape Town, around about there, where you could pay with Bitcoin. So it's going there, But we'll see. What's nice about it, if it gets there, your transactions would be immediate, and you would be able to trade from your phone.
Got you.
The question is, will you still need a bank?
That's I see where you're going with that.
So I think that's the main reason why it's not there yet.
Do you think fintechs will eventually get to the point where they are? I think a lot of them are. So if you're already looking at platforms like a Lunar or a Binance or Coinbase, Velar, these guys are already starting to offer a lot of what your banking stack already has. And I think my question to you becomes, how are you guys from a back-end point of view navigating this slow change? Because it's already happening. If you look at daily volumes, I think crypto volumes are now at about 4 trillion on average. That is massive flows.
It's crazy flows, but I think still, because there's still fiat. If you look at Africa,
right?
Africa, yes, there's some trading or some digital coins or whatever they use for day to day, but not everywhere. So it will take a while before the banks are going to be there.
Sure.
And yes, they need to change that their viewpoint of where they need to go. But that's just my opinion. So it will need to happen at a point. But remember also in South Africa, if we take that, we are regulated with the Reserve Bank. We're regulated with all the banking laws.
Yes.
And so there's many different laws. And same with the FSCA. So your Lunos and all those guys are also registered to FSCA, and they also have a certain amount of things that they need to comply with.
Yeah.
So, you need to take all of that into account. And we all know, specifically like in South Africa, how long does it take to change things?
Yeah.
So how will that ship change? It won't happen overnight.
Okay. Can you talk a bit about financial immigration? I know it's not necessarily your area of expertise, but is that something you're still seeing a lot of? And I know you also said there's nowhere to immigrate these days, but what's the outlook on that?
Yeah, we actually see quite a lot. In our network, we've got 2 companies, one based in Australia, one based in London, which actually only facilitates that. And then we've got a lady down in I think she's in the Southern Cape, which also do all your tax immigration, all those kind of things. And I think there's still a lot of people that's moving there, either for opportunity. What the volume is, I can't tell you, but we still see a lot of guys that's actually moving. And I think it's both ways, things happening in the country.
Yes.
People need to move out, or guys that there's no opportunities for them or whatever, they need to move. Now they get this opportunity to cross border. And then you get this international nomads, where because we're working in a space where guys can work from anywhere in the world, they say, okay, but let's go and live in Switzerland for 2 years, and then let's go and live in the US, or whatever the case may be. So you see all of that as well. And but it depends. But there's a big process if you immigrate. We can get your funds out, but you must remember that you need to financially immigrate. And there's a whole bunch of laws on that as well. You need to, I think it's now 3 years, whatever, before you can be fully financially immigrated. But I'm not an expert, so I can't give advice, but there's people in our system who can do it.
Is the main goal to sort of get yourself to a point where you are no longer paying taxes in that particular jurisdiction?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, because you've got these double tax agreements between countries. The problem is guys immigrate, and then let's say, for instance, after school, you went to London, you started working there, you started building a life, you've got a family there, whatever the case may be, but you never financially immigrated. So let's say, for instance, you worked 5 years here, you still have a provident fund or something here, but you never financially immigrated. So there's a whole bunch of tax rules and stuff around that. So if you immigrate and you start to immigrate, make sure that you financially immigrated as well. Okay. Otherwise, SARS can still claim some of your funds.
How does your space, and I want to sort of go there gently, when you're thinking about the AI era that we're in, how have you guys started integrating some AI components to your business?
Okay, on our side, it's quite interesting. We just recently launched a product, AI-based, for exchange control. So we've got a app where you can ask the app any question, and it will automatically tell you what it is. It's ring-fenced, that you don't have all these experts all over the world putting input. So what we've done is we actually ring-fenced it with experts in XCon, telling you exactly what this ruling means, or what depending on your question.
Okay.
So that is currently in the market.
Okay.
So,
is that a consumer-facing app or for professionals?
Both.
Okay. And
so you as a company can actually pay your prescription. Then you've got or subscription, sorry, or a company, or our competitors, or the banks. Whoever is dealing in FX can actually make use of it.
Can make use of that.
And it will be expanded to global trade and all those kind of things. So it won't just be on foreign exchange.
How different is it from just taking that same query and putting it in my chat GPT?
We found that there was quite a lot of different answers in chat GPT, which is not necessarily correct.
Okay.
So it was tested by the experts. We've got like 3 or 4 exchange control experts coming from different banks, different backgrounds. So we validated that with what was said on ChatGPT. Yes, ChatGPT will give you a great answer, but not necessarily the correct answer.
Okay. Interesting. Are there many, I'll say this delicately, are there many black-owned businesses in your space?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that you're aware of?
No.
I thought so. Why do you think that is?
I think it's just an untapped market. And if you think about it, why does these businesses exist? We went through an era where new skills came in, and those guys are not yet back in the market. So a lot of these businesses are done by old experts. Okay. That still needs to work because they still have a family. So I think that's the main reason.
The main reason is because they haven't had market access. Is that what you're saying?
No. I would think they're still in the market with your big banks.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily that they're the guys that started these businesses are. So,
I see. And okay, now help me understand your margin again, just so I can understand. If I'm buying Forex,
yes,
and I'm buying Forex from the bank, and you sort of, as an intermediary, played a role in that, you're taking a margin from the bank, or the bank is paying you a margin for the service they've ultimately rendered me?
Let's make it easy. So how our stuff works is we've got a relationship with the bank. Okay, so on each transaction, there will be a margin.
Okay.
So say, for instance, just to make it easy, the margin on each dollar is 10 cents.
Right.
Okay, so there will be a portion that the bank will take, and then there will be a portion that we will take. Okay. So everything goes through the bank, and at month end, we will do a reconciliation, and the bank will pay the margin due to the company. So that's as simple as it is. What makes us different is we only take the margin, but other TOCs, I know they give, you need to pay a monthly fee. Okay. You need to pay for advice. You don't always get the greatest margins. They give you a margin on the day. So what makes us different is we actually give the guy a margin and say, for each and every transaction you do, this is the margin. But if there's a bigger transaction, talk to us and we can maybe change it to a lower margin.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we don't ask them for a monthly retainer or anything else, because we find, that becomes expensive. And if you need to pay $1,000 every month and you do imports of $1,000 every month, it starts to add up. And all of that you need to add into your pricing. So how can you do that? And we don't charge them anything to give them a statement or give them the SWIFT document or anything, where some of the guys will ask that.
But how do you guys then drive customer retention if you don't have all these
great
sticky, sticky services, great services.
So you'll see on our website as well. So we pride ourselves that you don't have a contract, you don't have monthly payments or anything with us. So our business is based on relationships.
Okay.
So, with some of our clients, we talk on a daily basis, sometimes 4 times a day.
Okay.
So that's the way how we manage.
And you're not billing them for those phone calls?
No, nothing at all. So we just basically try to give them the best advice we can. So especially like if you import, you want to buy at the lowest price you can. So if we see the rates are starting to move, we will send them a message. Listen, you need to start to look at the rates now. And then we will update them regularly. So sometimes you get big rate changes. Sometimes it's 20 cents from the morning to the afternoon.
That's a big number.
Yeah. So, then you can actually help the guy and they can buy on different intervals and make sure that they lower their risk for FX. So,
can you tell me about hedging strategies that you guys?
I think there's a lot. There's a lot of fancy things in the market, options and all those kind of things. But we don't do that. Our banking partner doesn't offer it. But the easiest way is forward exchange contracts, and that we use that quite regularly. But the options and all those kind of things are there.
If you're explaining it to a 5-year, what is a forward exchange contract?
Okay, so a forward exchange contract is you buy dollars today so that you can buy something in the future.
Okay.
So that's the easiest thing. So you booking a rate, let's say a month, 2 months, 3 months, up to 12 months ahead so that you don't have that price fluctuation. So okay, I need to deliver a product in 6 months' time. And I quoted my guys at, let's say the rand dollar is 17. I quoted them at 17.50. I can get my forward exchange contract at the 17.50. Okay.
And that's locked in for a specific period.
That's locked in for a specific time. Yeah. Our forward contract works is basically they take the spot rate, the rate at the day, plus what your margin is. So say, for instance, it's 10 cents. So if the rand dollar is 17, you'll pay 17.10, and then they'll add forward points. So for each and every month, they will add forward points. So forward points is merely just a interest rate differential between the two countries. So what the interest rate is in the US or what's the interest rate is in South Africa, there's very clever people with very thick glasses that works out that. And then they will add that on.
Okay.
So that's basically it. It's a very simple process. So it's the easiest way to hedge. And then you can do some natural hedging as well, where you, so for instance, you import and export, where you actually go and play off your the funds that you need to pay out versus the funds you're receiving in. Some of the guys receive more funds in, so you can actually get a little bit of a natural hedging where you don't have to pay a margin on those funds. So you need to pay $100,000 out, but you receive $200,000, so you only have to exchange that $100,000.
Okay, and so the contract would hold even if there's a change in the prime rate.
Yes,
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's different options. You've got a fixed, optional, fully optional, but I won't go into the technical details. Fixed is you can't change the date. Optional. Or partially optional, you can change the rate a bit or the date a bit, and then fully optionals, you can move it around as much as you want.
As much as you want.
But it also comes at a price because there's different risks for the bank on it.
Okay.
But we find with our banking partner, there's not much of a difference, and we manage the guys quite well with just fully optional forward contracts.
Okay. Does your business monetize financial instruments as well?
In what sense?
Take an iron ore mine, for example. Let's say I'm selling iron ore. I'm selling 55,000 tons a month. My client is in China. They don't pay me with an EFT. They pay me with an SBLC, for example. Can I bring that to you guys and you?
LCs and documentary trade stuff.
Yeah.
They did start a department within our banking partner, but it's not 100% there yet. But I'm sure we will start to look at it. Our banking partner actually they're quite technologically inclined, so they want to drive these things. But I'm sure in the next couple of months to 2 years, we'll have something like that. There is a department. We actually didn't use them. We do have clients that requested it, but there's different ways you can do it. I mean, you can still have those type of things going via another bank, and the Forex goes via our banking partner. So there's different ways you can do it. Okay. Same with Reserve Bank approvals. If I get a Reserve Bank approval, because the Reserve Bank monitors all the banks, you can use that same Reserve Bank approval at a different bank as well. So you don't have to use it just at one banking partner.
Oh, I see.
And it's all in the SWIFT system, so you can't use it more than once. Or out of the
Can't duplicate.
Yeah, can't duplicate it.
When I'm sort of utilizing my single discretionary allowance and bank A, so let's say I've exhausted it in Standard Bank.
Yeah.
So I've done more than 1 million transactions and I've put BOP or Bob code 401, 1 million worth of gifts. Does FNB know that I've now exhausted it on Standard Bank?
They should, yeah, because it's on SWIFT.
They should.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do they check? I can promise that. But they should, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you get into this?
I was actually a financial manager for logistics companies for over a decade. And the biggest thing was always the struggle with paying Forex. Now, I come out of an era where we still had to do manual Bob forms. So you've got this form and you need to fill in everything by hand. Then you need to go and drop it off at a Forex center. And then they will take it to the bank and they will process it. So that took anything from 2 days to 4 days just to get your transaction through the bank. And then you have a system where you can just see your transaction. Okay. And these guys actually, Bezt Forex, approach us to get our business because what intrigued me about the business is it's all online. Everything is, you don't have to go to the bank. Even if you open an account with their banking partner, everything is online. Okay. So they send you a link and you check your documents, they fill in the documents, everything, and you sign and it's done. And that intrigued me on how we need to do it. And back in 2021, I actually got the chance to join them as a business partner. And that's how I started in the business. And after that, I took on a ex-banking, foreign exchange banking guy that retired from one of the big banks. And I actually met him. It's a funny story. I met him by his ex-wife. Mm-hmm. And we started, and that's how I started within the game. And yeah, I mean, it's been quite a steep learning curve on the banking side, but I think with us as well, with our branch, there's so much experience just between me and him. Me understanding the business and he understands the banking side and making sure that we get it. So that's how I started within the business, and I've been enjoying it.
Yeah. How big is the team now?
Just 2. There's no need for more. So what's nice about it is we don't necessarily process. So within our business, you can choose how you want to do your banking. So we actually offer a space where so the customer can actually do their own transactions, upload their own documents, get everything done themselves, and then it's released by them and we check it, we release it, and it goes through to the bank. Or we can do everything for them. They send us an email with all the documents, we upload everything, and we do everything, and we just send them a link that they can release, and they release, and then it goes to the bank. So there's different options. So in between, there's also an option here and there, and for that, we've got a back office within their office space. So for me, there's no need to employ people at this stage.
Gee. So you're basically operating a very high margin business with little to no overhead.
Yes.
Okay. And so if someone comes to buy this business, what are they buying? If you're selling this business, what are you selling? Are you selling the book?
Property.
You're selling the intellectual property.
Yeah, it would be basically intellectual property at this stage. I mean, I think that's why what intrigued me to go into that, because it's I mean, being an accountant, I understand how it works. So obviously, I mean, if I want to sell my business at this stage, I can't do anything. I'll need to get assets into the business to get some value.
Sure.
But yeah, for now, it's not worth my while. So until the business is big enough, there's bigger dreams, I think, on my side to have this as a cash cow and maybe other stuff as well. But for now, the business, I think, is merely just intellectual property. Because without us at this stage, there's no business.
So the two partners are essentially the key men and therefore the asset.
Yes. But then as well, you've got, I mean, I've got the contract as a business partner with Bezt Forex, using their systems, a lot of their stuff. So there's that bit as well. But that's basically it. Furthermore,
Got you. You don't have to answer this. What sort of annual turnovers do people see in businesses like this?
Depends. Depends on how much volume.
Come on, Peter, humor me.
Okay. Depends on what size business you put on. I'm going to put it this way.
Right.
So if I've got a foreign direct investment, that's investment coming from out of the country, and I've agreed with my customer a 10-cent margin, that foreign direct investment is $5 million.
The 10 cent on every dollar is yours.
Yes. Not mine. So it's split up between. So the total revenue on that deal is what, $500,000? No, 500,000 rand.
Or 500,000 rand.
Yeah. So then it gets split between the bank and the business partner. And
okay, so it's 5 million rand, not $5 million.
Remember, your margin is, so if the rand dollar is 17 rand and versus for $1, your margin would be, let's call it 10 cents. Okay. So you'll pay, because I'm importing, I'm going to buy this dollars. So the bank will always give you a higher price of 17.10. So that 10 cents is the margin. So it's rand based, not dollar based.
I see.
So that's an example. A guy that imports $100,000 a month. And there is those guys. There's guys doing much more, but it's not in our market. But $100,000 a month, if they're on a 10-cent margins, then the margins vary. So it can be 5 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents, not more than 1%. But so it varies. So $100,000, you can make a good 10,000 rand out of that client per month. Yeah.
If I had a group of 3 very bright black kids, how do you feel about sharing your type of knowledge with them or helping them build these type of businesses?
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
But I think my approach would be different. I've always been keen on getting your hands dirty. Sure. If I walked into an interview as a financial manager and I worked at a business which, when mine was in logistics, I would say to the guys, listen, I go into the workshop, I see where the tires go to, I see where everything goes to understand the business.
Right.
And that's the type of training I would do. So you will start with, you will start by calling a client.
Yeah.
You will make your mistakes, and then you will go from there. Because there's a lot of stuff you learn from that before you get to the other stuff. The other stuff, I mean, I like to get guys involved. Back in the day when we still did training for all these BEE stuff,
yes,
you had to do some learnerships on where we were and stuff like that. And we always did a administrative learnership. And we found, but that administrative learnership, you get these guys, we actually end up calling them serial learners at the end of the day. Yes. Because every year you get these guys, but the same names appear for the same things. Like, why are you doing it?
Right.
And then we actually changed the approach.
What was the pipeline? Where did they come from?
So we actually used a company giving learnerships.
Okay.
And they basically got these learners. But some years we found, but there's 2 or 3 guys that
they were here last year.
Yeah, these names look familiar. And then we changed the approach, and we went out to guys that already started something. So we went to one of the local communities, and we literally went to the guys next to the road, starting a car wash and starting at the Swan Oak. I remember specifically, he actually grew plants. So he had a small little stall next to the road, and he grew plants. And we approached those guys and said, listen, are you willing to do a learnership? And we requested our service provider at that stage to change it in the sense that they adjust the program for more business management. So give them the skills to actually scale their business rather than administrative thing that you can't use. And the difference in the people that we found, because I like to go out to these guys and just meet them, see, because you're spending a bit of money, you're paying them a bit of money every month as well, to see and understand these people and the difference between the 2 attitudes between the group doing the admin and the guys already starting stuff. Is the admin guys, I remember, they were not interested in me being there. They just, it's like typically like you see a teenager in school. They don't really pay attention. Versus the oaks that actually had their own business already. I mean, I had a comment which struck me that day, which the oak, I said to them, thank you for being part of this. And I always talk a little bit about myself and my history and my wife's history, because we come from different backgrounds and stuff like that. Just to explain to them, it's not easy. So make the best of it.
Yeah.
And the one oak, I said to them, thank you for joining us and all those kind of things. And he just put up his hand and said, no, thank you for helping us to give us some way of bettering ourselves. And I think that's the way I like to approach things.
Sure.
Give an oak something that they actually can use. So doing stuff, let them learn from the ground. That's the best way to learn. I mean, so for me, that's where I've learned.
Right. And where does that culture come from? Is that sort of, is that Afrikaner culture? Is that Afrikaner business culture?
Yeah, I come from an Afrikaner culture. To give you an idea, my dad's an artisan by trade. Okay. He comes from a family, he had to leave school at, grade 10. So he had to leave school. There wasn't money to go and study. And he actually went into an artisan program back way then at one of the mines. He comes from the Kalahari up in the Northern Cape. And things went to another, and he eventually, I don't know if you know Sasol. So Sasol in Secunda, he was one of the first artisans that set up that plant. So, and then he got the opportunity to be part of a business, and then he started his own business. So it's an entrepreneurial type of family. But since a small age, I remember growing up in my dad's business. It's like a workshop, quite a big workshop. I think he's got like 24 different machines from lathes to whatever. So I've worked there. Since a young age, I was in that workshop. When I was actually allowed to work, I started helping him over school holidays. I've seen sewage farms. I've seen factories. I've done so many different things, which I take for granted because I never realized what skills I actually got there. And I think that's where it comes from. Yeah. Teach people actual skills they can use rather than just giving them something and they don't know where to use it. So that's where I'm coming from. So if somebody comes in, they will learn the hard way, but they will learn the best way. And I think that's the best way to actually get respect from any person. Yeah. Because I'm the type of person that's very honest. You'll find it in my family as well. We're a very honest family. So we say things that it is.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you think we make this and I'm not talking about culture, I'm talking about the approach to learning, a part of our current societal system? Or how do you infuse that into the blueprint without, people getting all emotional and stuff?
I think that's the biggest thing. I actually, the other day, my quiet time in the morning, I got this vision. And it basically comes down to the history is not made in the past, it's made in the future. Mm-hmm. And I think if we as a society can actually just talk to each other, if you talk to the person next to you, if you talk to and I'm talking now everybody, talk to the lady at the till, talk to the oak next to the road, talk to anybody. All they actually want is just to give their family a good living. They want to earn a reasonable wage and have opportunities. If we talk to each other and we don't listen to all the stuff that's happening at government level, all those kind of things, I think then we will get much further. Because it's all about relationships. If you go into any small town and you walk through the town, you'll see that people are independent. I take my dad's business. There's certain guys that's doing cleaning. There's certain guys doing fitting and turning. There's certain guys just doing turning, but they're all dependable. Because if this oak doesn't do something, the next oak can't do his job. Yeah. And if the final job can't be done, nobody gets paid.
Yes.
Easy as that. And within that whole process, there was an oak that started as a cleaner within my dad's business, which is currently one of his best fitters and turners.
Okay.
He doesn't have qualifications, but he's got skills. He's one of the best at this stage, earning a very good salary or livable salary.
Absolutely.
So I think if we just talk to each other, but we don't. People are too scared. People, from my perspective, are too scared to drive into where I live, Mamelodi, wherever. It's just a community.
You live in Mamelodi?
No, I live close to Mamelodi.
Oh, you live close?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if people just talk to people, just understand the people, try to understand where they come from.
Got you. You sound like an ideas guy. What's the one idea, and this is in closing, what's the one idea you haven't had time to work on?
There is an idea, and I always take it back to how do you get R1 from a person per day? And I always say it's something like toilet paper. Mm-hmm. Everybody uses toilet paper every day. So that's something that you need to pursue. And there's a lot of visions on my side of building a business, helping the guys. I always have a big thing for old people and children. Old people in the sense is, when I was younger, my grandma was actually a nurse at an old age home. And I spent some holidays with her, and it was brilliant to hear these people talk. They were like these teenage kids in an old man's body. So doing things for those guys, maybe taking those guys and integrate them into businesses where they can actually assist and just give advice. It will do wonders for them, and it will do wonders for the business. And also then kids from either in foster care or from kids' homes, because those kids are well taken care of up till 18. What then? And I think where that idea came from is, if you drive in Pretoria, there's so many young kids, more or less that age, that you see on the street.
Loitering, yeah.
Yeah, why? Because they come from somewhere. It's either drugs or whatever, but I think a lot of those kids don't have any other recourse.
Absolutely.
So if you can put an opportunity there for them to actually make it sustainable, not just giving money or whatever, making it sustainable, that there's a business that you can pull them into and develop them and say, okay, you are more of a teacher than you are actually an artist, whatever the case may be. And you can guide them in that way, give them opportunity where they actually generate revenue, that the revenue be used to actually take the next stream of kids in. Yeah. And that's how we're going to make a difference.
Make a difference. Thank you so much. This has been a very enriching conversation. Thanks for the depth, for not shying away from some of my piercing questions. I appreciate that, and I hope we get to speak again. And if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, tell a friend to tell a friend. This is the Winners Win podcast. We out.